Okay, good morning. We'll go ahead and get started, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and dear participants, welcome to Apprentice National Winter Graduation. I am Emma McLean. I'm the Accessible Apprenticeship Program Manager here at Apprenti, dedicated to fostering accessibility and inclusion. Alongside me is my esteemed colleague, Taylor Warmkessel, who's a program manager, and I will let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Emma. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for gracing us with your presence at our annual graduation ceremony. I am Taylor, a program manager here at Apprenti, where I work passionately to bridge diversity gaps in the tech industry. And today we are delighted to extend a warm welcome to the Apprenti National Winter Graduation as we celebrate the remarkable achievements of our 2023 apprentices and pay tribute to the invaluable contributions of our esteemed employer partners.
Thanks, Taylor. This virtual event promises to be an inspiring celebration featuring distinguished speakers, apprentice stories, and award recipients, all marking a significant milestone in our 7th year of apprentice placements. But before we start our programming, let's begin with our first polling question. You will see these throughout the duration of our time, as we wanted to make this as engaging and interactive as possible and learn more about you. So our first question is, are you currently considering implementing an apprenticeship program at your organization? We'll leave that open for a minute so that people have time to answer. Excellent. Thank you all for taking the time to answer that. Now let's dive into our ceremony with our keynote speaker for this morning.
All right. Well, it is my great pleasure to introduce our distinguished keynote speaker for today, Mr. Ryan Craig, the celebrated author of Apprentice Nation. Ryan, the virtual stage is all yours.
Well, I don't know how celebrated I am, but maybe in the world of apprenticeship, and there's no better world to be in right now. So congratulations to all of you on this momentous day. And I want to chat with you about why what you've done and what we're all doing is so important. So let's move on. Great. It's not because there's a book. There is a book. You don't need to buy it or read it. You've lived it. So let's move to the next slide. Great. So I don't know if you were paying attention, but it seems like every summer there's a song of the summer. And this summer, the hit song was a song by the singer-songwriter from Virginia named Oliver Anthony called "Rich Men North of Richmond." And I don't know if you have heard it, but the lyrics are here. Folks on the conservative Republican side of the aisle tried to adopt this and say, this song is really a conservative versus liberal song or a rural versus urban song. But Anthony was very clear. He said, this is a song about young people who see this bright, shining digital dynamic economy, can't figure out how to way to break in because the only jobs that seem to be available to them are kind of dead end jobs. Next slide. And it's true that young people today are facing a crisis of employability. Even for college graduates, 40% of those who graduate are underemployed in their first jobs. And new college grads are actually more likely to be unemployed in today's job market than your average worker. Next slide. So I'm a big fan of college. My first job as a teenager was working at a college. My first good job out of school was college. And I think colleges and universities do as good a job as they've ever done at equipping young people with the critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, communication skills that they needed to be successful in the good jobs of the last century. So if you can recognize this, this is Mad Men, Don Draper, going to work in at that advertising agency in the 60s. Really, all you needed was a degree, and you'd learn the rest on the job. Next slide. But that's not what you need today. You need all of that. You need the critical thinking, problem solving, communication skills, but you also need discrete combinations of digital skills, platform skills, business knowledge, role knowledge in order to be considered for good jobs today. Next slide. Colleges, however, remain largely closed off from the real economy. If you go back and you visit the school that you attended, or maybe the one your parents graduated from, it looks a lot like it did a generation ago in terms of the programs on offer, in terms of who's teaching the programs, which is faculty with terminal degrees, which means they've probably never worked outside of education. And there's a distinct lack of accountability on this for the stuff that really matters, like whether students are learning and what their employment outcomes are. And that's translating into a marked decline in support, both politically as well as what really matters, enrollment, which has declined almost by 10% over the last 2 years. Next slide. And yet, we're continuing to throw money at colleges and universities. The federal government, their number one, preoccupying higher education policy is student loan forgiveness. And when states have surpluses, they're putting it into the state university and community college systems. And the thesis of the book is that what's missing is a clear alternative that America can rally around. Next slide. Well, apprenticeship is that alternative. It's the only alternative that truly levels the playing field for people of all backgrounds. Why? And you know this better than anyone, because apprenticeships are it's not just a training program. It is a full-time job from day one that pays a living wage and has built-in training, built-in pay increases, and obviously career paths. And all the research on apprenticeship is very clear that apprentices themselves experience a tremendous return on investment, as do the employers and governments who are supporting these programs. Next slide. And it's particularly important now more than ever because because the skills that employers are having a hard time finding, these technical digital skills, are harder to learn in a classroom than they are by doing. I think about Salesforce, I think about Workday. You can only learn so much until you actually begin doing the job of being a Salesforce administrator or a Workday Pro certified professional. And in addition to that, we're seeing something called the experience gap, which is becoming even more important than the skills gap. Next slide. So a decade or two ago, you could get a good job, a good entry-level job in most sectors with just a college degree. Today, increasingly, employers are asking in job descriptions for 3, 6, 12 months of entry level of relevant experience in order to access good entry level jobs. 38.4% of entry level jobs ask for at least 3 years of experience, either implicitly in these job descriptions or explicitly. And there's a quote here from a recent electrical engineering grad from Arizona State, who's saying that these entry-level engineering jobs are asking for 4 to 5 years experience. And it's going to get worse, unfortunately. Next slide. So a decade ago, someone with a modest technical background could probably get a job as a tier 1 analyst in a security operations center. So this is a managed security service provider. This is sort of first row of defense for cybersecurity. You're looking at the alerts, deciding which you can resolve, which you need to elevate, which you can disregard. Today, 10 years later, that role has largely been automated away. Entry-level jobs in security operations centers are what used to be called tier 2 analysts, and those ask for CISSP certifications. And what automation has done to entry-level jobs in cybersecurity, generative AI is about to do to good jobs across the economy. I think back to my first good job, which was as a management consultant, and I probably spent 35 hours a week developing PowerPoint presentations that I'm pretty sure no one ever looked at. Going forward, no one is going to want their entry-level analyst consultant to be spending 35 hours a week building PowerPoint presentations. You'll spend a couple hours. The rest of the work will be done by AI, and employers will expect you to spend the rest of that time on higher value product work or client work. But the rub is that you're not going to be able to do that work, that higher value work, without relevant experience. So what automation has done to entry-level cybersecurity jobs, AI is about to do to good entry-level jobs across the economy, as it eliminates the menial work or grunt work that entry-level workers used to do in order as they learn the ropes of the job. Next slide. So one big problem is that when most people, not you, but when most people think about apprenticeship, they probably think about people like this. They think about welders, they think about plumbers, they think about electricians, and that's not inaccurate. Next slide. If you look at apprenticeship in the US, there are about 500,000 civilian apprentices in the country. May sound like a lot, but it only represents 0.3% of the workforce, and 70% of those apprentices are in the construction trades. Compare that to other countries. You probably won't be surprised to hear that the apprenticeship giants of Central Europe, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, they do 10 to 15 times better than we do per capita. So instead of 0.3% of the workforce, it's 3 to 4.5% of the workforce. But you may be surprised to hear that the UK, Australia, Canada do 8 times better than we do. And a generation ago, they looked a lot like the US in terms of a relatively small apprenticeship sector, almost all in the construction trades. But today, apprenticeships in those countries are spread across the economy. It's very common to launch a career in financial services, tech, healthcare, logistics as an apprentice. Next slide. So the question is, why? Why are we last among developed countries on apprenticeship? Next slide. Well, the real question is, well, what does it take for an employer to launch an apprenticeship program and hire an apprentice? And the answer is, this is from Apprenticeships for America. There are about 10 things that an employer would need to do that they're not currently doing if they wanted to launch an apprenticeship program and hire an apprentice. And the hardest one is that last one that's circled, which is actually hiring and paying someone who's not going to be productive for a period of time. And that's something that most employers aren't interested in doing. Next slide. So kind of the dirty little secret of apprenticeships is that most employers aren't willing to do this themselves. Where apprenticeships flourish, it's because there are intermediaries that are doing most of the work of organizing and running programs, intermediaries like Apprenti. Next slide. So in Germany, it seems like every month or so, there's a news report of some junket from a state going over to Germany, drinking the Riesling, eating the schnitzel, and looking at the apprenticeship system over there. But it's not particularly useful because what you find in Germany is that you have these massive, powerful chambers of commerce and unions who are doing the work of setting up and running apprenticeship programs, and their role is actually written into law. They're required to do it, and they're provided with funding, and they're provided with skills frameworks. Next slide. What's more interesting is to look at what's happened in the UK and Australia, which is the path we hope to follow here. They didn't have that comparable chambers of commerce and union infrastructure, but they, rather than, so they couldn't require anyone to do this work, but they incentivized it by funding it. And they began to fund or overfund the cost of the training, and they began to recently provide additional funding per apprentice place, what we call pay per apprentice models. And as a result, next slide. So in the UK, there are 1,200 apprenticeship service providers, not unlike Apprenti, who are running around knocking on the doors of every large or mid-sized company, offering to set up and run apprenticeship programs for them. So you won't find a business in the UK that hasn't been approached by an apprenticeship service provider. Same in Australia, but this doesn't happen in the US. Next slide. So you can see here, Apprenti is among the leading apprenticeship service providers in the US. Here are some of the other members of Apprenticeships for America, which is this trade association of apprenticeship intermediaries. But we only have about 200 in the whole country. Based on the size of our economy, to be competitive, we should probably have over 4,000. So we have a long, long way to go. Next slide. One big reason is that we're not funding it. So take a look at how much we're spending on colleges and universities every year in terms of public taxpayer dollars, federal and state. It's over $500 billion every year to colleges and universities. Apprenticeship receives less than 1/1000th that amount. Next slide. And if you compare the amount of public support that an apprentice receives compared to a college student, for every dollar of public support that you've received, college students receive over $50. So I don't know whether the right ratio is 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 or 10-to-1, but I'm pretty sure it's not 50-to-1 or 1,000-to-1. But what I can tell you is that every other developed country in the world is an order of magnitude or more higher on apprenticeship and earn and learn than the US. Next. In addition, we're also funding the wrong way. Department of Labor has increased funding for apprenticeship pretty significantly over the past 7 or 8 years, and Apprenti has been a beneficiary of that. But Apprenti is actually one of the few high intervention intermediaries that has received funding. Almost all the funding has gone to what I'll call low intervention intermediaries like community colleges. And what they tend to do is they develop the curriculum, they register the program, and then they sit on their hands and wait for an employer to come along looking to use their curriculum. But that's not how apprenticeships work. That's not how apprentice jobs are created. Next slide. So as a result, the directory of my book is an appendix. So the appendix of my book is a directory of apprenticeship programs in the U.S. outside the construction trades. Apprenti is very, very prominent in that directory. But we looked at the registered apprenticeship database the Department of Labor maintains, and we asked how many of these registered apprenticeship programs are outside the construction fields, and the answer was about 6,000. And then we asked how many of these programs are real, meaning you could actually apply for a job as an apprentice tomorrow. And the answer was of those 6,000, only about 200 were real. The other 5,800 were what I call paper apprenticeship programs, meaning they exist only on paper because it's curriculum that someone, probably a community college, registered. There's no employer actually hiring apprentices. Next slide. So what we should be doing, we should be funding apprenticeship like other developed countries, and we should be shifting from a grant-based model to a formula-based funding model. Next slide. The good news is that we're starting to see progress here. California last year became the first state or government in the country to provide formula-based funding for apprenticeship, and Ohio is following in their footsteps. Next slide. So what, the vision here is an apprenticeship ecosystem where you have thousands of apprenticeship intermediaries knocking on tens of thousands of employer doors, yielding many, many new apprenticeship programs across the economy, and a useful directory of apprenticeship programs. So you could imagine a world where a high school senior sits with her guidance counselor and looks at the half dozen or so college or university programs she might be interested in, and an equal number of earn and learn apprenticeship programs that she might be interested in for getting her career launched. Next slide. And the good news is that's actually happening somewhere in the world. It's the UK, where this fall for the first time, UCAS, which is the Common App of the UK, is now listing apprenticeship programs alongside university degree programs. So you can apply for apprenticeships just as easily as you can apply to universities through the same portal. Next slide. So this is my last slide. I think unique among education and workforce models, apprenticeships have the potential to unify the country. There may be no other way to reach dislocated and disaffected Americans who don't want a handout. They want work, but not dead-end work. They want work with an opportunity for advancement. And I think when we find apprenticeship programs across the country, across the economy, when we have as many apprenticeship programs as we have colleges, we'll look like a very different country. Socioeconomic mobility, the American dream, will be renewed. So I thank you for your playing a role in this as a pioneer of American apprenticeship. And with that, let's transition.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Really appreciate your insights and helping us understand, the context of our work within America and also the larger world. Thank you so much for your valuable insight. Excellent. I'm going to continue moving forward now with another special guest, none other than Kathleen Curley, the Chief Information Officer at the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts at the University of Michigan. She will graciously share her experiences collaborating with Apprenti. So Kathleen, what has your experience been like in standing up an apprenticeship program, and how did you become involved with Apprenti?
Great. Thanks, Emma. And hi, everybody. Really honored to represent our employer partners. We have a great list of employers, and I want to extend my congratulations to all of the apprentice graduates today. I'm really excited to share our story here at the University of Michigan, and specifically within the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. And I appreciate a lot of what Ryan just shared because there's an interesting connection here between higher ed and our ability to sustain staffing to support higher ed. So our story begins in 2021. We were seeing a significant decline in our candidate pools for our technology jobs here in my organization, LSA Technology Services. those pools had shrunk on average by about 75%. So typically we might get maybe 60 to 100 applicants for a particular position. And regardless of if it was entry level, intermediate, or senior, those pools, we were barely getting 15 to 25 applicants. And as you can imagine, we weren't getting very diverse pools. So we have always struggled. It's, challenging in the tech industry to attract diverse candidates across all levels and all positions. And we knew we needed to do something drastically different. Meanwhile, and this ties into a little bit about Ryan shared about the economy, here in Southeast Michigan, where we're located, we have a drain of talent leaving the state. And we also have a significant shift in investment in our automotive industry because of electric vehicles and software-enabled vehicles. And so many people are obviously getting technology jobs within that industry here in Southeast Michigan, again, creating even more pressure for us to sustain our staffing for our technology positions here at the University of Michigan. So I happened to be introduced to Apprenti through another CIO here in Southeast Michigan, and he had shared how fantastic the program was. So it was really exciting and encouraging for me to connect with Apprenti, to learn about the program, and to quickly launch it. So we hired our first cohort a little over a year ago, and within a month, of me getting that program started, we had another technology unit on campus who wanted to do it as well. And so within the last year, University of Michigan has hired 5 apprentices through Apprenti. And then just this past month, I'm pleased to share that in LSA Technology Services, we just hired another 3 apprentices, and we have started our second cohort. I continue to hear from my colleagues in similar roles across the University of Michigan. They want to learn about the program. They want to understand how it works and how it can help them. I think one of the things that is so important, obviously, is the value of diverse teams. And it doesn't even feel like anything that we have to really sell anymore, because we know through lots of research and our own experience that diverse teams create better results, better organizations. Diverse teams are more innovative and more adaptable. And so for anyone out there who doesn't want to have teams that are more innovative, more adaptable, produce great results, and guess what, can add fun and value to your organization, I'm not sure that, not sure how you build teams otherwise. This is just how we need to build teams in this day and age. So to add to that, I do want to just personally share what I've been most excited and unexpected about this whole program is that at least the 2 apprentices that we started with, I could never have expected how much they contributed to our team and our organization beyond the work that they do. They have really leaned into our technology services organization. They lead from where they are. They volunteer to be on teams and committees that are helping to make our organization more inclusive and make us better. They are just wonderful people. They have amazing experience in their life. And I'm so blessed to think that they have chosen to lean into the technology industry and to bring that to what we do here within LSA and U of M. So for us, Apprenti has been a wonderful recruiting pipeline partner here in the challenging technology job market in Southeast Michigan. They've brought us new people who maybe hadn't previously considered working in higher ed. Many of our jobs don't require college degrees, and it's been at times it's a challenge for us to communicate that and to get to people who might be really great team members with us, but don't have the academic background. The other thing that Apprenti has brought us is some financial assistance through grant funding. We are a nonprofit organization, and so for us to be able to quickly launch and sustain the program, it's been critical for us to have access to that grant funding. So with that, I just want to kind of end on my final kind of words of encouragement for all of the apprentices who have graduated today. Just continue to lead yourself first. You've just done that by completing this apprenticeship program, and continue to lead from where you are in your current and future roles. Everyone's journey is different. And it's actually that difference that I feel is so valuable in building extraordinary teams that deliver amazing impact. So know that you belong in technology, in your teams, your organization, and the technology industry. We need you to be part of making technology unbiased, more accessible, and appropriately used for all humans. So congratulations, you are on your way.
Wow, thank you so much, Kathleen. I am so moved by all that you shared. I think that your program is such a clear example of the way that apprenticeship can complement other fields, the way it complements the tech that's happening within the automotive industry, the way it complements the work that's happening at your higher ed institution. I think sometimes it can feel like these things are in competition. And so I really appreciate the way that you have illustrated that the program can fit as a piece in the puzzle of our workforce. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Excellent. Well, we are truly grateful for your partnership and your willingness to share your experience with us. And I'm going to let that lead us into a second set of questions. So I'm curious if people on the call today are currently considering implementing an apprenticeship program. Perhaps Kathleen's speech inspired you if you were on the fence. And then have you previously participated in an apprenticeship program, either as an employer or as an apprentice? Or are you a third party who's joining us today? So if people want to take a second to fill that in, please do. And I've really enjoyed what I've been seeing in the chat. I just want to call out to make sure people are setting their settings to everyone so we can all see your amazing messages, not just the hosts. But thank you all so much. Excellent. And as we close out this poll here, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Taylor.
Thanks, Emma, and thank you, Kathleen. So our journey now takes us to a captivating apprentice success story, a testament to determination and achievement. So please join us in welcoming Michaela DuPont, Associate Software Engineer for Kohl's Technology, who is going to share her experience as an apprentice. Michaela, I will pass it over to you.
Thanks, Taylor. It's an honor to be here with you all celebrating the 2023 apprenticeship cohort. I have so much appreciation for the work done by Apprenti, and I want to thank you and the Apprenti team for this opportunity to share a little bit of my apprenticeship journey.
Great, yeah. Michaela, so what originally made you interested in joining our apprenticeship program?
So I graduated in 2019 with a teaching degree, but by the end of 2021, I was starting to feel a lot of burnout from the teaching position I had at the time. And I was a math and science teacher, so I had always been interested in STEM, and so I decided to pursue a career switch to the tech field. But because I already had student loans, I didn't want to take on any more student debt considering more education. So I began this really long search for opportunities where on-the-job training would be available. And out of all of my opportunities that I found, Apprenti really stood out because of the structured technical training and all of the resources that I'd be connected with. So I knew it was going to save me a lot of time doing research when it came to finding a quality boot camp, preparing a resume, and learning about technical interviews on my own. And I also really liked that I would come out of the apprenticeship with, the boot camp certificate and apprenticeship certificate. And that wasn't the case with a lot of the other opportunities that had a lot more informal training. And so after seeing all that Apprenti had to offer, I knew that this would be the best way to make the successful transition.
Amazing. Well, I am so happy you found us, Michaela, and, put so much work into your apprenticeship this past year. So now I'm curious, what was your biggest learning from your experience with Apprenti and Kohl's?
I learned so much throughout my experience, but my biggest learning, I would say, was just to be consistent. Even on the days when I was overwhelmed, I just had to learn to show up and recognize the progress that I was making every day. There were a lot of times when I didn't think I would be able to grasp, a lot of the technical concepts that I was learning. And working in technology, it feels like there is just an endless amount of things to learn. And on top of that, I felt like I didn't see a lot of people like myself doing software development. Being a Latina and someone without a computer science degree, working with colleagues who had 5, 10, 20 years of experience, it was really hard to not let imposter syndrome get the best of me. But learning to just be consistent and persevere and show up the next day, with the mindset that even if I only learned one new thing that day, then that was a success. And because those little victories do stack up every day. And looking back and reflecting upon this whole experience, I have learned so much more about coding and software development than I ever thought I would be able to when I started this journey almost 2 years ago. And that would not have been the case had I not been consistent throughout the apprenticeship program.
Wow, consistency is key. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome. And so I have one last question for you. Finally, what advice would you give to aspiring apprentices looking to join our program?
Like you said, consistency and having a growth mindset is key to success, both during and after your apprenticeship. So what you want to avoid is the mindset that says, in order for me to be successful in tech, I need to master all of these concepts now. And if I can't do that, then I'm a failure and I don't have what it takes. Instead, you really want to keep going in the midst of all the unknowns and dedicate yourself to making progress every single day and enjoy the learning process. Technology is such an exciting field to work in, and there are so many amazing opportunities and doors that will be open through, an apprenticeship experience.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Michaela. We really appreciate you sharing just your testimony and your experience and being so candid about your time. So thank you so much again for sharing. And yeah, so with that, I guess I will pass it back over to my colleague, Emma.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll just say I had the pleasure of interviewing Michaela when she was first joining the program. So it really is special to see how far you've come in the amazing, amazing work that you have done in your apprenticeship. And it is now my immense honor to introduce Jennifer Carlson, our Executive Director and co-founder of Apprenti, who will share her thoughts and congratulate the recipient of the Champion Award.
Thank you very much, Emma. This is great. I am enjoying seeing all the comments over in the chat box and all of the presentations and comments from our colleagues, our graduates here today. This is great. It's a privilege to be a part of the celebration and recognize the exceptional contributions of our graduates. And that's the reason we're here today, is to talk to our graduates and congratulate them on making it through this. Having founded the organization and the fact that we're so centered on closing this talent gap in tech with our DEI and digital skills gaps coming together to kind of bridge that and close it, I understand the dedication that's required to cross this finish line that everybody is reaching today, and how hard that they've worked to get here. And Michaela's comment about it needing to be a lifelong transition, that you are making a mental commitment to be a perpetual learner. And the fact that everybody here today has done that, has done it well, knows that that's what's expected of them going forward. I applaud you all, and I know how hard you've worked to do it. I also acknowledge that none of this would be possible without our employer partners. And I made a comment right before this about, I hope all of the employers here today are seeing the notes from people, not only the graduates, but the folks who are here saying, I've applied. We have a huge crop of great talent waiting in the wings to fill your employment needs. So please reach out. And that, of course, is why I'm also here and thrilled to thank one of our partners. We do this every year. We want to make sure that we call out a great champion, somebody we've been working with for some time who has made an incredible commitment to apprenticeship. And I'm thrilled to announce that our 2023 Champion Award recipient is CGI. CGI has played an integral role in the success of our organization this year. They've been at the forefront of championing registered apprenticeship now with us for 3 years. We are only a 7-year-old organization, so they have been along for a good part of the journey with us. They're a leading IT and business consulting firm, and they understand the urgency of the talent acquisition process. And they've been prioritizing not only the diversity, but the opportunity to create these more entry-level job functions so that people could grow into this more organically. Again, not to compete with the university track, but really embracing apprenticeship as a secondary talent line. We couldn't be more excited to present them with our Champion Award for their unwavering dedication to establishing an apprenticeship program. And on behalf of Apprenti, I'd like to welcome Ryan Parker. He's the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion with CGI. He is here today to accept the award and for us to thank. And Ryan, I could not be happier with the nomination of CGI for this.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Listen, I'm so happy to be here to accept this award on behalf of CGI. But I want to first of all say congratulations to the real honorees today, the graduates. You really do give us hope for a more inclusive future in the IT industry. On behalf of CGI, I humbly and graciously accept this award. We are a proud industry supporter and partner of the United States Department of Labor Tech Apprenticeship Program, and we thank you for the honor of being this year's Apprentice Champion Award recipient, an award that is already so proudly on display in one of our Apprentice sites in Lafayette, Louisiana. I have the distinct pleasure of serving as the Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at CGI. And I find inspiration in the work that I do because of programs like Apprentice. Apprentice has been a vital part of our efforts to accelerate diversity, equity, and inclusion, serving as a pathway for individuals from underrepresented groups, women, and veterans to access high-demand tech careers that they would have otherwise likely not have had access to. And this has indeed accelerated the growing diversity of our workforce. And so we've expanded our cohorts. In fact, we tripled the number of apprentices from our first cohort, and the program now spans across several states: Louisiana, Texas, Tennessee, and Massachusetts. 2023 year has been a remarkable year, as CGI also earned the United States Department of Labor Apprentice Ambassador designation. But more importantly, we also had an opportunity to celebrate two of our apprentices, Aurora Decker and Joshua Wingrove, in the inaugural Trailblazers initiative. All of this said, our journey with the Department of Labor Apprenticeship Program has been rewarding, and we look forward to continuing Apprentice as one of our many innovative solutions to build a more inclusive workplace where innovation thrives and employees from all backgrounds can find purpose in the work they do. Before closing, I want to also extend a thank you to the Department of Labor for making programs like Apprentice possible, creating an open door to opportunities for people like Aurora and Joshua, who because of Apprentice are already blazing trails. And it is in their honor and the apprentices who we've come to celebrate today that we humbly and graciously accept this award. Thank you. And we look forward to a more inclusive future in IT because of this important work and because of our graduates that we celebrate today.
Thank you, Ryan. And I really appreciate all of your comments, your heartfelt words, and we are 100% with you and congratulating the team that you have there. Everybody at CGI has been wonderful to work with. Emma?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your commitment to working with us and supporting your apprentices. We really appreciate all the fantastic work that you're doing.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure, and we look forward to continuing this important work.
Fantastic. Let's keep the celebration going and actually take a moment now to display the names of our graduates and celebrate their remarkable accomplishments. Congratulations to all our graduates this year for your incredible hard work and perseverance throughout your apprenticeship. Thank you so much for all your work, and we will now see their names on our screen.
Love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes. Something without wanting love bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. irresistible affair. And when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you and the world's all right with me. I just one look at you and I know it's gonna be.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to give another special thank you and shout out to our speakers who joined us, Brian Craig, Michaela DuPont, Kathleen Curley, and Ryan Parker. Thank you all so, so much for your contributions to this graduation today, and of course, your work in apprenticeship. In closing, I would like to extend heartfelt gratitude to all those who joined us to celebrate today, to celebrate the success of apprenticeship and the continued growth of Apprenti. We eagerly anticipate the future where we will persist in championing apprenticeship as a potential tool for cultivating highly skilled and diverse tech workforce. May you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you again, and congratulations to the graduates.